About a week ago, I traveled up to San Francisco to get my hands on this, the all-new LG V40 ThinQ. And as that mouthful of a name suggests, this phone is kind of a combination of the V30 and the G7 ThinQ. And LG has gone all out on their latest and greatest flagship phone. It's got 5 cameras, an OLED display, while still retaining fan favorites like the headphone jack and expandable storage. But is all this enough to finally get more people to pay attention and break away from that LG smartphone stigma? I'm Robert Rosenfeld from Techno Buffalo, and this is our review of the brand new LG V40 ThinQ. Before we jump into this review, if you guys want to see how the V40 ThinQ stacks up against other flagships like the Note 9, the iPhone XS Max, or the upcoming Pixel 3 and 3 XL, be sure to click that button and subscribe to the channel, and also hit that bell so you're notified about upcoming videos, and give this video a thumbs up. We appreciate it, and it lets us know you guys want to see more like this. LG phones have been kind of stuck in this weird place for the past few years. They always bring a lot of features, versatility, and even come with ports you don't see on all other flagship phones these days, but there's always been one or two caveats holding it back from really being taken seriously from smartphone shoppers. And LG is trying to change that yet again with the LG V40 ThinQ, or let's just call it the V40 to keep things simple. LG stressed that this phone is lighter than comparably sized flagships like the iPhone XS Max and the Note 9, and I will say that picking up the XS Max after using the V40 is a bit jarring. This phone is incredibly light, and coupled with excellent build quality with the glass and aluminum body, it feels incredibly premium and super lightweight and comfortable to hold as well. On the front of that lightweight body is a downright gorgeous 6.4-inch OLED panel, and LG supplies OLED panels for some of your favorite flagships out there right now, so it was a very welcomed addition to see them finally put it on their own flagship phone. And the nearly bezel-less display has a bit of a chin and a notch, but both things do not take away at all from this screen. It gets bright, colors look vibrant, text is sharp, and consuming content on it is very enjoyable. The V40 also retains that second screen functionality similar to what we saw on the G7, meaning you can hide that notch through software or even make the area stand out with different colors or different effects, but I mainly just left it off. I was pretty unbothered by the notch during my time with the phone. Speaking of the G7, the V40 brings 2 of its fan favorite features on the new phone. It's got the dedicated Google Assistant button and that single boombox speaker. The phone not only has a headphone jack, but it's got a 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC built in as well, so you can plug in your headphones, whatever headphones you want, and enjoy one of the highest quality audio experiences you can get on a smartphone today. Besides the display, the big story with this phone is the cameras. This phone is one of the few on the market right now to sport 5 cameras, 3 on the back and 2 on the front. The 2 front-facing cameras are certainly nice to have, but they're not necessarily game-changing. Inside that notch is an 8-megapixel standard lens and a wide-angle 5-megapixel lens that not only gives you that option to shoot GoPro-esque wide-angle selfies, but LG says that those 2 sensors allow for improved portrait mode, which looks a little bit soft or a little bit too harsh depending on the condition. For my taste, those standard selfies are going to look just fine. Those 2 lenses also provide for a fairly fast but less secure face unlock feature, which I actually thought worked quite well and was much more convenient than that rear-mounted fingerprint reader. But the real star of the show here is that camera setup on the back. The V40 packs 3 rear shooters. You've got a 12-megapixel standard lens, a 12-megapixel telephoto lens, and a 16-megapixel wide-angle lens with a 107-degree field of view that LG has really become known for on their smartphones. These 3 lenses offer a lot of versatility, and in full auto mode, this phone can take surprisingly really good shots, and the fun and creativity I had shooting these photos made that boring old smartphone photography seem a little bit more fun. I am not a huge fan of LG's processing. Some of these photos looked a little bit over-sharpened and a little over-processed. Also, low light mode is improved, but LG still has a long way to go. But all in all, I was really happy with the photos this phone could take with little to no effort on my part, and I think the processing and little things could be fixed in future software updates. The company gives you full manual controls and software for those who really want to get in there and get the very most out of these onboard cameras. You also do get a portrait mode effect here on this phone, which looks way better on the rear cameras than they do on the front-facing cameras, and also this kind of stage lighting-esque effect built in as well, which I didn't use all that much because the results were honestly just pretty bad, but they are available on this phone on the front and rear cameras if you want to try your luck with them. The software also has some neat tricks in there to take advantage of those 3 lenses. There's a triple preview that allows you to long press and get a live view of each of the 3 lenses before you snap a photo, and there's also a triple triple shot mode that will take one shot from each of the three lenses, and then combines them into a GIF, though I didn't use this feature all that much. Same goes for the Cineshot mode that allows you to kind of make a combination of a video and a still with only selected parts of the frame moving. It was a bit buggy and a bit rough to get going, but I guess it's a cool party trick to have. Having three different lenses with different focal lengths offers a lot of different versatility and flexibility and replaces the price and the hassle of carrying around one of those extra lens kits for your phone. If you're looking for a way to make your mobile photography game a bit more interesting, these three lenses may just do the trick. Powering this phone is everything you'd expect in a flagship these days. It's got a Snapdragon 845 processor, 6 gigs of RAM, it's got wireless charging, IP68 water and dust resistance, 64 gigs of internal storage, and other features that you don't see on other flagships these days, mainly the ability to have expandable storage and the aforementioned headphone jack on the bottom. It does not sport a removable battery, but the built-in 3300 mAh supports quick charging and easily lasted me a full day of heavy use with some juice left to spare when I put it on the charger at night. And I just want to say on the topic of performance, while using this phone, I never experienced any performance hiccups or app crashes or any kind of slowdown. Everything ran incredibly smooth on software I'm told is finalized and will be shipping with this phone. There's no doubt the V40 hardware inside and out is very premium, but there's still some work to be done on the built-in software. This is a brand new phone releasing in the latter part of 2018, and it's running Android 8.1 Oreo out of the box, with a typical LG flavor of Android running on top of that. Android 9 Pie has been publicly released for almost 2 months and accessible to developers and manufacturers well before that, so it is very disappointing not to see it on this phone, especially when this phone could really take advantage of those Android 9 features. The company's done a better job to eliminate duplicate apps and bloatware, but I'm still just not a fan of the built-in skin and keyboard, and the software LG puts on here can just be a little bit heavy. It can certainly use some leaning out. Also, the artificial intelligence and machine learning LG is pushing in their phones and their software fell kind of flat for me. And also, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done to the portrait mode, and more specifically, that stage lighting mode for the different light presets. It just did not work well at all, and can definitely use a little bit of attention. Many of my gripes with this phone can be fixed with software updates, but I do have one final issue to talk about, and that is the price. Retail price for the V40 ThinQ is going to be north of $900 depending on the carrier you go with. And for that price, there is some fierce competition from Apple, Samsung, and Google. So this is a decision I definitely suggest you make very carefully. And I think whether or not this phone is really worth that premium price tag or not really comes down to how much you value that 5-camera setup. There are usually pretty good discounts to come to LG phones in time, so it's quite possible that $900 price tag can be a lot less if you wait for the right promotion. If you've been a fan of the V30 or the G7, I think you're really gonna love the improvements and refinements made to this phone. And if you haven't taken a good long look at what LG has to offer these days, maybe it's time you finally do. So what do you guys think of the V40 ThinQ? Are you a fan of that super long and kind of confusing name? What about that 5-camera setup? Or maybe you're all about that hi-fi DAC or that built-in Google Assistant button. Whatever your thoughts are, leave them in the comments down below. We'd love to know. I am Robert Rosenfeld from Techno Buffalo. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.